Hello and welcome to The Content Bite. We're a podcast for freelancers who use their words to make money. I'm Rachel Smith, a journalist, copywriter and content producer and the founder of the jobs board and freelance community Rachel's List, which is a very long sentence to say. I should have really cut that down. Self-edited myself. Anyway, my co-host is the fabulous Lynn Testoni. Hello, Lynn.
Hi, Rachel. Lovely to see you again. I love these weekly catch-ups. It's very nice, isn't it?
I don't think we've actually seen each other in months.
No.
In the flesh, have we?
No, just Zooming. I'm Lynn Testoni and I'm also a writer, content creator and a journalist. Today's subject is one that's quite close to my heart, which is mentoring. The way I see a mentor, it's like being a person who gives you professional support. So either on a long-term basis or over a single project. I feel it's usually unpaid. I don't know about you, although I know there's some professional mentors out there. What about you? Have you ever been a mentor?
Well, I'm always helping because a lot of people come to me from Rachel's List or even outside of Rachel's List and ask me career-related questions. So sometimes I'll get on the phone with people and talk them through moving from an in-house position to freelance, or I'll talk to them about how to find work. Or I think this week I helped someone cost a project. She wasn't sure how to cost a copy editing project. So I do that sort of thing a lot, but it's more a one-off situation.
Ad hoc sort of
stuff. And then off they go. Or I'll answer questions on the blog that people have asked and they want to be anonymous. So I do that sort of thing, but I don't know if I would really consider that mentoring. I don't know. But I have had a mentor. Sorry?
Yeah, so who has been your mentor?
So I had a really amazing mentor and I worked with her at two companies actually. Funnily enough, she went to my school, but she was a bit older than me. So we knew each other, but just to say hi, we didn't really know each other that well. And then she got the job as editor on this magazine that I was already on. I was like an editorial assistant and she got the job of editing it. And it was one of those IT kids magazines where there's only two people working on it.
Yes.
So we did everything. But I was really green. I was just out of uni. I was 21 and this company, it was just the most male-dominated, slightly misogynistic company. You know, she was that bit older and a bit ballsier and she really helped me become a better writer. She edited me, but she also taught me how to stand my ground with the dudes that were, you know, circling around us.
So valuable. Yeah.
So valuable. She taught me a lot about business and life and being a woman in media. You know, I just owe her everything, really. Hello, Nina Mills, if you're listening. We're due for another coffee by the beach soon. We're still friends.
Oh, that's nice.
But, we're in totally different directions. She's in corporate comms now and but she was my mentor for years and years. And we also had an article. I think John Burfett wrote a great article on mentoring on Rachel's List. I know that he does a lot of mentoring. Yeah.
He does. I know he's particularly mentored a lot of young writers. I remember that post. It's a really nice one talking about it. Yeah. I don't know if I've ever had a mentor, Lee, although I had a few grumpy old subs on the back desk when I started in the newspaper.
We've all had the grumpy old subs on the back desk with their red pens.
Yeah. So I certainly don't know if they were caring sort of mentors, but they certainly helped me tidy my writing style. And taught me a lot of basics. And my first magazine editor, and I think I was really privileged, was Lisa Wilkinson at Dolly. And she was very inspiring. And also, funnily enough, Lisa and I went to the same school together. So that's interesting.
Wow.
So she's a couple of years older than me. And she taught me a lot about magazines and how magazines worked and really about what Australian women wanted. And I've said to Lisa, who I do see every now and again, and I said that I really didn't appreciate her at the time, how good she was, because she was my first editor and she was great. And I did learn a lot from her and I've always admired and respected her. She is a really inspiring woman and I really like her.
I think there's really a special place, isn't there, in our hearts for our first editor if they were a good one and if they taught you a lot.
Yeah.
I feel like that about Nina, definitely. And I think as a young person, finding a really great mentor that's a good fit for you and can sort of guide you and really help you, it's so valuable. If you can get that at the beginning of your career, you're really lucky.
Yes, no,
Yeah.
I think so. So I thought we'd talk a little bit about how you go finding that person. Like,
Mm.
because now I guess that as I'm at the other end of my career, that I've mentored quite a few people over the years and actually have been many people's first editor too. So I guess that it's giving back. And usually the approach to being a mentor has come from them. I don't think I'd ever presume to push my advice onto somebody without them requesting it. If somebody approaches me, I usually assess whether I have time and whether I can offer them value. Because I think one of the traps people fall into is that they often want a mentor to be all things to them, like, writing, business, personal. And I don't think that's very realistic.
No, no. I agree. I think if you want to find a mentor or there's someone that you particularly admire or who inspires you, then you could definitely approach them and say, would you be willing to mentor me even just once a month? Go out for lunch or a coffee and just, talk to that person. But I do agree that mentoring should probably be work related.
Yes,
If it falls
exactly.
into personal, I think they probably need a good friend to offload to or maybe a psychologist.
Yes.
But yeah, I can see how the boundaries get blurred with mentoring and how that personal side can come into it, because I think that a lot of our identity is caught up in what we do when we're writers, and we're writing about our lives and perhaps
Yeah.
exploiting our lives and the lives of our families
And
for our
being a
art.
creative is such a personal thing.
Mm,
Writing is so personal, and your work is tied up with your identity, I think. Yeah.
yes. So I can see how it happens, but I do think, yeah, if you're going to get a mentor, it should possibly be a work related situation. Otherwise you need professional, help perhaps.
Yes.
I don't mean that to be in a bad way or that getting professional help is bad, because it's not.
Yeah.
It should be more of a work thing. But I also think that parents, this may seem like a funny thing to say, but I think that parents can be mentors, especially if they've held very high level positions. And,
Yeah.
my parents still advise me on so many things. Obviously, mum is my, sort of pseudo psychologist, just advising me on life related and parenting. But
Yeah.
my dad was, a sort of high level negotiator and has worked at Treasury and all these massive companies. And he has just helped me with so much business and financial stuff. And he just instinctively knows how to tweak an email or how to phrase something if I'm having trouble, or he just has all this knowledge and I just tap into it all the time. I don't even know if you'd call that mentoring because he's my dad. But
Yeah. But
when I thought about it, it really came up. But I thought, yeah, he had
I'd like
sort
to
of.
think I mentor my kids. I mean, they're grown up and working now, so I do think so. One works in the creative sphere, and one works as a civil engineer. And she's had to manage people. She's at that stage where she's starting to manage people, and she's certainly asked my advice on managing, because obviously she went to uni and she's a spectacularly good civil engineer, but they never teach you how to manage people. So I've helped her
No.
with some of that stuff, and I think that's quite cool. And I also think sometimes it's better to have different mentors for different parts of your life. Like, I
Mm.
have a variety of people, I guess, they're my mentors or my coaches in different parts for different things. Like my friend Emma, she's amazing. She runs this highly successful online art business. And she's taught me so much about branding and online marketing, which was not something I really studied. And my friend Faye is amazing at finance, and she's got a financial background, at a big corporate bank. And she's taught me a lot about business and and all that sort of stuff. So I think that's really good.
Mm.
And I also think one of my little bugbears or my little grandstanding things is that I think many women don't look to men for mentoring. An industry leader is often male, sadly. And I
Mm.
think they have so much advice and information to share. And as an older woman, I've mentored many people, but not many of my male peers have been asked to be mentors or have done that. People tend to go for women, and I think that men do have a lot to offer, and that's something we should think about.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think men have a lot of really different perspectives to us on business. I have a couple of male friends and their advice is really invaluable to me. We're often on the phone trading, sort of tips and strategies about business, and they think in such a different way to me and approach client situations, in a very different way as well. And sometimes that can be so interesting in just how you will flip something or think about something or how you might phrase something, you know? So,
Yes.
yeah, I agree. I agree.
Yeah,
I
I
think if you
think
can
it's
find a good dude who's open to mentoring you, and you should go for it. You're more into these formalized mentoring sessions. So what typically goes on in a mentoring session?
Well, I usually do coffee, never drinks, because I think it keeps it more professional. I've done a few breakfasts, which is quite good too. Sometimes I actually do something really practical. I review people's writing and actually edit it for them, and maybe go through or talk about, things like basic stuff like headlines, grammar, active voice, some of those really basic technical writing skills. And sometimes I do that over email. And occasionally I'm just a listening ear at the end of a phone call. I've also helped out. One of the things that I guess I've done is helped out a few women who are returning to work after they've had a child. Talked about that old, that chestnut, work, family balance. I really enjoy that. When I had my daughters, and my oldest daughter is now 32, nobody I knew worked with, there was no mothers that I worked with. Nobody had a young family. I was working at Clio when I got pregnant, and we used to talk about how women could have families and careers, but nobody had ever done it. It was all good in theory. No, I don't think I ever had a good role model there. And even Lisa had children after me. So I wanted to support the women coming after me and make that process a bit easier. So
but you just mentioned that you sometimes review people's writing and stuff like that.
Yeah.
What's the difference between mentoring someone or coaching them? I suppose coaching is when you actually pay someone. Does it flow into coaching if it's like an ongoing arrangement, or but mentoring can be an ongoing arrangement too?
Mentor can too, but it's a bit more ad hoc, and I just do it, and I usually do it for somebody I've already known or worked with, and they've asked me. We've got a personal connection already. A coaching is usually somebody is more of a professional, somebody sort me out. And I guess there's that point, if people ask me to do a lot of that sort of stuff, I'd have to sort of say, it's getting a bit more, shall I recommend somebody, or would you like me to do this professionally? But I've only done a little bit of coaching, so most of it's mentoring, and I do really like it. But it is tricky also when you become experienced and a senior person in an industry, and you're the same. People ask you things all the time, and I always try and help if I can, which is one of the reasons why I'm doing this podcast. And the same with you, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I suppose it makes it easier to share tips and share your ideas and your knowledge on the podcast, because you can direct people to it. And
yes, I do that now.
And specific episodes. Yeah, you can say, actually, we talked all about pricing in episode 4, or maybe it was episode 5. I can never remember the episode numbers. So
yes,
I'm fairly useless in that regard.
But well, I have mentioned the LinkedIn episode to a few people. I guess one thing that does really bug me is that I've had a few people who aren't that interested in learning. They just want to whinge, and usually about their boss or the media industry. And I don't think that's constructive. Mentoring is not therapy. And back to what we're saying, I think you need a professional for that. If you don't want my advice, that's okay, but I hate it if I feel my time's being wasted.
Yeah, and, I'll just add to that, I have helped quite a few people over the years, and sometimes I will help people over email. Like, they'll send me questions and I'll answer, a massive long email to try and help them out with advice, and they will never reply, ever.
Oh.
So if you're going to ask people for their professional advice and they take the time to answer, please thank them. I really think that's my big bugbear about giving advice, because it happens more than you think. People just disappear.
Oh, yes, they do. My favourite, because my son-in-law is quite a well-known novelist, Craig Silvey, who's written a book, and it's studied at school. And I've got to tell you, he's got some really, you should follow him on Instagram. He's got a lot of people say, oh, Craig, can you just tell me what you think about the social setting of your book and how it pertains to 1960s Australia? Because it'd be really good if I could have it by Monday for my essay. And he's got some really good comebacks for people who want him basically to write their essay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
oh my God,
yes.
nothing surprises me anymore.
But there are some formal mentoring programs. I'm not sure about them. Have you ever been part
I've been
of them?
asked to join quite a few of them, yeah. But to be honest, like there isn't enough hours in my day to do a program like that, much as I would love to. So I just help people ad hoc in my ad hoc way when I can.
Yeah.
And I leave mentoring to the true professionals like you, Lynn.
Thanks. Sometimes I think that's a bit contrived, some of those formal things. Sometimes they work, but often I find they've got great intentions, but it needs to be a bit more organic, I think, when there's a relationship and somebody you do admire. Setting people up, it's sort of like speed dating, and it doesn't always really work, I don't think.
Yeah, absolutely. The best sort of mentoring situations are when you already have, like you were saying, that personal connection with somebody, and you feel because a lot of it is showing your vulnerability and having to ask questions that you feel, talk about things that you're not confident about. So it really helps if you can have an initial trust with that person and a bit of a rapport already. So so definitely seeking.
Yeah, I think so too. John's blog post on Rachel's List actually did have a list of some of the more formal mentoring programs that are quite good.
Yes, so definitely check that out.
Yeah, and the MEAA has one that's mentioned there, and also like my local council does one. So that's sometimes more helpful, actually, if you're setting up a business and you don't know many people in business. I think that's quite helpful. And there's a couple of state government ones that help, and that's more of the finance sort of business stuff. I think that works.
Yeah, great.
All right. And I think also, so there you are. Now I'll refer people to this podcast episode.
Oh, when they ask you about mentoring.
Yes. Exactly.
You're sneaky.
Exactly. So that's probably it for this week, Rach.
Yes. Thank you, everybody, for listening and for all your lovely comments. I think there were quite a few on LinkedIn this week, and it's just so nice. Keep them coming. We love it. It's stroking our egos. No, it's really nice that people like the podcast, so thank you.
Yeah, and it's great when we know what resonates with the audience, so we can tailor the content accordingly. Yes.
That's right. We're big on tailoring and curating.
Yes, we are. And all the other buzzwords.
Yes.
Okay. So we'll put some show notes up on Rachel's List as usual, and we'll see you next week. Thanks.
Okay. Thanks very much. Bye.